Welcome back, shop rats. Today we're going to be working on making this piece of floor right here. And it may seem like a small piece, but it's actually a pretty big piece in the scope of this project. We chip away at this project one bite at a time, sharing all the details on how we hand fabricate pieces like this. All right, let's watch the show intro. We'll see you in about 30 seconds. I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
Having a burn on the weekends to get as much filmed for you as I can, I always question what I should do next. And I questioned whether or not I should be doing floor pans today because I have suspension I need to be tearing apart and getting some of this stuff put away. But everything is still fresh in my mind from doing that small piece on this side in our last episode. And I think it would be wise to go ahead and get that other side done while it's still all there. I'm going to try to make it a little more complicated, and rather than making it in two pieces, I'm going to see if I'm smart enough to make it all in one piece. Probably not. We're going to try because why not? So we could keep talking about it, or we could just do it.
Let's do it! Do it now!
I've got my gauge tool out here that we used on the last episode. I need to paint this a different color so I can write on it and hang this on the wall for the future so that I know what it is. But I'm not going to take time to do that now because, you know, they don't have to wait for it to dry. So anyway, I guess I could write on the back side for now. So I can go ahead and start getting things laid out here. Just got to determine exactly where I'm going to put this. So we'll take this metal over to the car, decide where the first, or down I should say, where the first little down is going to be, and then we'll go from there. So good step forward here. Kind of excited to see if I can do this all in one instead of in two pieces. So could be an epic fail, but you know, if you don't try it, you don't know. Okay, so this is about where it's going to be, and we can tell that our first divot is going to start about right here. We got our overlap. I mean, need to bring that back just a little bit. There's a bead right here that I probably will just roll in the floor after I get everything else bent. That would be the easiest. So I'm not trying to make it perfectly exact, but I don't want there to be a huge dissimilarity between the two sides here. So just what I'm thinking at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and determine where my first mark is going to be here, probably, and then we'll start laying this out and get all of these little ups and downs laid out in this piece right here. All right, I got my lines marked here where I'm going to start. Forget that one. This was a mistake, but this is the line I'm going to use where I'm going to start my layout for the bends. And of course, we'll have to do that on the other end as well. And then I've got another line in the car I'll show you that I made. So my reference point at the back of the sheet metal is here, so there'll be a little overlap. I'll probably put a step, and there'll be a bead as well, as I mentioned in that. So hopefully I've allowed for enough stack up in all of this, but if I didn't, it'd be no big deal. We'll just weld a little flange piece in there. And I don't want to short myself up here. I probably should have made the metal a ½ inch longer, but I didn't, so it's fine. It'll work. Next step here then is I'm going to go ahead and make a little tick mark with my grinder so I don't lose that reference point, and then we're going to prime this so that I can scribe lines in it easily and get everything laid out nice and square. Since I was waiting for this to dry, I went ahead and did that and got that cleaned up and marked, and I'll drill a hole in it and be able to hang it on the wall somewhere so that if I ever do another one of these, I'll have this tool already done and I won't be able to find it when I need it. But just to save myself some time in the future if and when I ever do it. Although I don't anticipate, I never know, the same floor pattern may be used in another car. I know I've got a couple of B-body floor pans over there for the other car that you guys have seen a few weeks ago, and so we'll see. So we'll take our beautiful tool and we will get it lined up with the mark that we made where we want this first cut to be. And we'll get our little clamp out. And we'll just go through and start marking where the cuts go. So we go from there to there. Make sure our tool's lined up. And then the next thing it does from here is it actually goes down to a big one. So we'll go ahead and do our little 1/2 inch down, and then this is down here, and then of course back up to the flat over here. Okay, so let's mark these out. Okay, we got that all laid out now. That's good. We'll make our cuts. But before I do that, I'm going to go through here and write on here so I know what's what. So this goes down, and this is up, down, up, and down. Make sense? Now we got to go take a dimension, go down to this end from the same, and line that out and make our marks on that. And of course we'll take our square and whoosh, whoosh, whoosh across and make sure everything is copacetic rather than so pathetic. I'm going to use my caliper if it still works. The battery was getting dead yesterday, but yeah, it's kind of sort of working. Remember to pick up a new battery. Okay, to center line there, it is 1.73, 1.74 to the exact center. So let's just go down here, lock this down. I like to just use the caliper itself for a scribe to get started. Okay, double check that. 1.74 from the edge. That is correct. We will emphasize that a little bit more. Double check it. Both sides of the caliper. 1.74. 1.74. Good. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut that one so I can use my gauge tool to start laying everything out the same on this end. Okay, here's the beautiful thing. It's off a little bit. I don't like it, so I'm just going to hit it real quick and we'll do it again. Doing layout is finicky and fussy and takes time, but it's worth it. Take your time. Make sure everything looks the same side to side. Things weren't looking the same. They weren't, the widths of the so forth and the bends were not exactly right. I wasn't happy. So it's important to go ahead and just make sure that you're satisfied with it, because once you bend it, either it works or it's junk and you got to start over. I'd rather take a little extra time now, save the metal, not that you can't use it for something else, but save the metal, save the time of having to start all over again. Have I had to start over again? More times than I could ever tell you, but over the years as I've been doing this, I get better and better and better at it, and I don't very often make a piece of scrap metal. All right, so hopefully we'll see. I'm ready to do it. I got to go and make some adjustments on the sheet metal brake because doing a bigger piece, I think I need to be putting that piece of angle iron on and off. And I'll explain a couple things about the brake, why this doesn't work as well as a different brake could, just so you understand if you're going to look for a brake, what to look for. And eventually I want to try to modify mine, but it comes down between working on the car and working on the sheet metal brake. I'm going to work on the car. So you can see as we go forward, we have an issue, and I know exactly why. Because this I made a little bit skinnier. Darn it. How am I going to handle that? I don't think. Yep, that's going to be a problem. Shoot. Looks like I need to start over. And well, no. We're okay because as we go along, each bend is going to cause this to shrink this way more and more. That's right. I forgot about that. So we're good. Yeah, we're fine. This is a little bit skinnier in here, but I think we're going to be okay. But that's why this stack out goes way forward of this one, because as we go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, it's accordioning this and shrinking it down. So that's why. And actually, as I'm looking at this and this, I don't think it's really that far off. So let me see here. Let's get this over. Yeah, it's actually not. So we're okay. All right, good. Phew. Scared myself there for a minute. But there's so many things to think through, and you have to think about how metal moves when you bend it. So it better not line up like this, because once I bend it, it's going to be too short. And we could keep cutting it, but we'd have to cut it again and again and again because it would still be too short. I am skipping over a lot of steps because in the very last episode I showed the layout on all of this, but I'm trying to hit the highlights. So if you want to know in detail how I came to conclusions on how I'm making all of this, just watch the episode previous to this one. But I need to double check my dimension here on my adjustment for angle, my angle stop. Make sure that it's, with this clamp down, make sure that it's bending to the right angle so I can adjust this. So I'll just use a piece of scrap metal to just check it against the original piece of floor that I cut out of a rusty piece to make sure that that angle is about what it needs to be. Remember that when you're bending angles like that, you kind of have to overbend because the metal will tend to flex back a little bit. So there's what we're trying to match, and that's pretty close right there, I think. Good enough. I may adjust it so it overbends it just a little bit, but I think we're going to leave it. Well, here goes nothing. Oops, nope, here goes something. I forgot to put my cuts in. Shame on me. Remember, we put the cuts in because we're going to be flipping this back and forth, and we try to transfer these lines over, and we'll never get them exactly accurate. So the cut is the same on both sides, obviously, and that just makes it easier. Here we go. Now the challenge here, because this is a bigger piece of metal, is with every other bend I'm going to probably have to take this off. So with the smaller piece of metal I can get away with it. So this is going to take a while, but it's going to be well worth it. So let's see, the first thing we want to do is a down bend, which means that I'm bending this up. So we line our cuts up, put the brake jaw or the brake edge right in the middle of the cut on both sides. There we go, just like that. Okay. We're lined up good. So we'll bend this to our whatever degrees that is. And this will be our first, nope, this is wrong. This is wrong, hold on a second. Yep, what I'm doing right now is going to be an up bend. It needs to be a down bend. See, that's why you think it through. So this needs to go over. Because if I bent that right now, this would go like this, which would make this go up. And we need to do it like this. That's why you think. Hopefully I'm not screwing it up. Okay, I think I got this right. So we want this to be the flat and this next to go down. So if I bend this like this, that should give us our down bend. This stuff is very confusing. I actually have to use my brain.
It hurts. It hurts bad.
Okay, either I got it right or wrong, and we'll be hammering and dollying. By jinkies, it bends down. Okay, now, here's the trick. I've got to take this off every time I do one of these bends. And I've only got it on with 2 bolts right now just to make my life a lot easier, because in order to get this right without flattening this out, I could do it on the small pieces, but I didn't want to take a chance. So there's 4 bolts holding this piece of angle iron on, and I already got 2 of them out. So, and here's what I wanted to mention. This Central Machinery Harbor Freight piece of garbage, the brake has a 1/2 inch piece that sticks out beyond the edge of where it clamps, and that doesn't allow me to use this brake the way it should be. This should be flush with this edge here, and when you fold this up, it should roll underneath, but it doesn't. So we have obviously a problem with this particular brake, that it doesn't work right. And so the way it should work is when this comes up straight, it should be flush with this edge. So I would have to completely rebuild this brake, and it's not worth it. I could, but it's not worth the time to do it. I've wondered if maybe just this piece is in here backwards, but this whole frame piece is welded together, and it would take me quite a bit of work to cut it apart, flip it around just to see if it's going to work. I may do that at some point. It may not work that way, and I may have to put it all back together. This just may be the way it's designed. So, but we work around it. I put this piece on here so that I could bend heavier metal. I did that, I don't know, a year ago maybe, and it works great for a cheap piece of garbage. But it's the limitations of the equipment I have. All right, so I got to bolt this off, make my next bend, bolt it back on, make my next bend, bolt it back on, make my next bend, put it off, lather, rinse, repeat. See why I did that? Took that off. Now this can bend down over, and we can just bend this up to get our, but then I don't have my 45-degree. Crap. I'm just going to have to wing it and guess, I guess. We'll have to line it up with a profile piece each time we do this. Actually, I left this on here, and it's kind of creating its own natural stop. So let's see if that's the right angle, because it sure feels right. That was a happenstance. I left this on here, and it stopped it. I just let it swing down. So, cool. I'll check this against the original floor piece. Works good against my template piece, so that was a happy accident. Woohoo! I love it when that happens. Pick this back up. This is going to work out better than I thought. Put my bolt back in. What I will do in the future, actually though, if I had done it this way, it wouldn't have worked so well. I was thinking I should have studs down here, but if I had studs, I never would have accidentally discovered that this thing actually makes its own stop. Okay, here we go for our next bend. Brake is not the best, so I'm just making sure that it's square. Okay, we go to the next one. Gotta flip it over. And we're flat. So there we go. Lather, rinse, repeat. Okay, it looks pretty good. Front two line up really good. This one's off just a little teeny bit, but who the heck cares? It's floor pan. And it's because I made this in 2 pieces instead of 1. So this dimension here is probably just a skosh narrower. And that's fine. I don't care. Good enough. You know, we're not trying to make it factory original perfect. Just really pleased with the way that turned out. Stretch some abilities, learn some skills. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, I hope you're enjoying my mediocrity. If I was going to be anal about it, I could zip that down the middle right here, take out, you know, 16 or 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch and narrow it up. I don't give 2 craps. It's just fine. The ribs are not about perfection. They are about strength. It's under the dang seat. Nobody's gonna see it. It's fine. So I'm happy with that. Learned some new skill sets, as I said, and now we got to take it to the next steps and make ourselves another one of these L brackets to fit all of that, to put against the subframe, and then figure out how we're gonna fit it down on that end. I'm really tickled with the way that turned out. You wouldn't think that would be difficult, but for me it was, and just a lot of thinking and laying things out. Okay, I almost forgot. One more thing we need to do is to roll a bead right here. That kind of makes that, gives us the opportunity to bring that around to go down. Now the question is whether or not I can do that with the bead roller I have, so we're going to have to look. If that doesn't work, we may eliminate that, we may change it, we may, I don't know, we'll do something. Okay, so I went ahead and rolled a bead in there a little bit. I ended up catching an edge in here, so but my bead roller was a little bit too wide, and I thought I was clear, but I wasn't. When I cranked it down, it ended up putting a line in there, but no big deal. Just have to make sure that, well, in order to get this where I wanted it, I really didn't have a lot of choice. I hammered and dollied it out some, but it's floor pan. It'll be fine. So my next thing I need to do now, of course, as I said, make that L piece, but I also need to probably cut off about 2 inches off of that end down there so that this can settle down in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to cut off just about the width of this 2x3 box tube. Probably needs a little more than that, but I'd rather kind of snuggle my way into it. So, well, let's see. Yeah, the floor is pretty bad down there, so we may have to make a joiner piece down there. Just that bottom little bit. Everything else is fine. So maybe we'll make this in 3. So we'll make a piece to go there. We'll make our L piece down here against the subframe connector, and then this piece to snettle down in the middle. Snettle down in the missile. Settle down in the middle. I don't know, something. So yeah, we'll cut off. Go ahead and do it maybe 2.5 inches, so I get a little bit of extra. So I'll measure this, make sure this is actually dimensionally 2, and then we'll do it 1/4 inch more. Good to go here. Gonna cut that off. I did 2 3/8. And the nice thing is, if there's other little spots in other parts of the floor, I have all of these wonderful little pre-made patches that I can cut up and coin in wherever I want. So win-win.
All this winning, I don't know if I can stand it.
There, I'm liking it. It's lining up better and better all the time. You can see that where my measurement here wasn't as bad as I thought. The next thing we need to do is there's a lip right here where this comes up and ties into that floor. So we need to take it back out and put that same lip right here. So I need to go get my marker, and we can take that over to the brake and bend that in. That'll help us with our clearance over there, where in that corner it's a little bit wonky. So yeah, it's coming along nice. I spun it up as you saw, drilled a couple holes up from the bottom to attach it to the back floor. I like the way that looks. Pretty much like the factory over there. So again, we're not trying to replicate the factory. I do need to get online and just look at a floor pan. It does look like this maybe had 2 down recesses on this side, but that doesn't totally make sense to me because of where the seat mounts. So we'll have to do some dimensioning to make sure that our height from here to here is the same. Excuse me, from here to here is the same where the seat mounts. I don't know why this would have been bent down here, but I had nothing to go by. I try to, you know, again, this is why I don't sandblast everything, because I try to keep as much of the rusty metal that I cut out so that I have patterns when you're fabricating. That's essential to the way we're doing this. So not everybody gets that. I don't give a crap, but just saying for you guys that like this kind of work, there is a method to this madness, and y'all know that. One of the things I want to do is make sure that our height on that side is the same as the height on this side. So I measured over there down to where the seat mount hole is back here, which is back here, which puzzles me a little bit, but I got to figure that out here in just a minute. I don't know, I don't get it. The holes over there are different than the holes here, so I've got to do some research on that. But I measured it down. It's about 7 inches to the bottom of that, 6 and say 6.5, and this is about 6.5. So our floor pan height is pretty good. So we've got to be cognizant of that moving forward to make sure that we're in good shape there. Got to do a little. The floor kind of scoops up just a little bit in the back here, so I've got to figure that out. Not sure how I'm going to handle that yet, but that's no big deal. Because what I don't want to do is end up picking this up and then creating the seat being in there crooked. So got some ideas what I'll do there, but right now I'm going to let that go and work on getting it edged on both sides, because there's work to do. Got that front flange bent so we can tie it into the front floor here when we're ready, when we make that piece. It's obviously still a little high in the front over there on that corner. That needs to get cut out and blended in, but maybe that's the next step I'll do is try to kind of cut that out a little bit over there and kind of get that down in where it belongs to be. That probably makes the most sense. Alright, we've got it nestled down in, we've got it attached in the back. It's really starting to fall in place now. I cut it a little bit too long up there, but it doesn't matter because I want to put some new metal on the bottom of that anyway to get it to match the contour. So yeah, we're getting there really nice. Things are lining up good. No complaints on my side at all. Yeah, I'm not going to hide the fact that this one looks like maybe it's a little bit twisted, but you know what, it's a floor pan. So maybe that one is, I'll check the front edge here. If the front edge is straight, then what happened was I probably got these in there just a little crooked, so fine. I'm not going back and cutting it out for that little teeny bit, that's for sure. You know, the subframe connector in there really makes it a challenge. But what I have found over the years, I know they make subframe connectors that go under the floor. And if I was doing a restoration on this car and wanted to keep it original and not molest it, I would have just put those on it anyway and just kept them under the floorboard. But I always like on cars that I don't care about as far as originality, like the GTS, for example, even though that is an original GTS, it's pro-streeted and hacked all up. I like putting them through the floor because you get that much more rigidity and strength in that body. So if you're wondering the rationale on that, that's why. It just gives it a little bit more because it's welded right into the floor pan. So that's just a personal preference. it of course interferes with the back seat and so forth, but I'm not going to use OE carpeting in it anyway, so who cares? And of course, by the time it gets up here in the front, it's gone. And the odds of somebody riding in the back seat of this car are very, very minimal. So it's going to be just great. We got our rusty metal cut out now, and we can start making and fitting and forming what needs to go in there. This out here will be easy, obviously, and it will scoot this that way just a little bit, but down here. But I want to go ahead and get that kind of figured out here before we get much further, because that's a bit complicated down there. Alright, we've got our piece on there now to put it onto the subframe connector. So I think we're ready to go ahead and get it in the car, except I got to drill a few plug weld holes in the piece that mates with this right here so that we can put that all together. So we'll go take care of that, and then I think we'll be able to tack weld this in. Right, it's in there. I got a little bit of work to do there from the other side, but I'm out of time today and I'm out of energy today, but the goal was achieved. I've got it spot welded in. That was the goal. I think I figured out what's going on. Is this is a seat hole, but I don't think it's factory. That's a factory seat hole. The holes are different over there, so maybe John, you can answer my question. Life at Speed, what do the seat mounting holes look like from the bottom side of your car, since it's up on the hoist? I know maybe you could snap me a couple pictures, that'd be great. Oh, and by the way, channel, of course this is a month later for you guys, but it was actually just a couple days ago. Congratulations, John, on the birth of your little girl. Glad everything went well. So anyway, I think the original seat mounting holes are here and here, but I don't know. I'm a little bit confused on all of this, and it doesn't really much matter. I want to be able to put original seats in it if I want to, but I don't plan on putting original seats in it. I got some ideas of what I'm going to put in it for seats, and you can just guess at that. But all right, I'm tickled with this. It's looking good. It's all done. We just got to finish it up. Not terribly pretty on this side yet. I got to spend some more time down here. Like I said, I'm going to fabricate this piece down here from this side. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way this is going. I want to get this next chunk done, I think, and then my goal would be to get all of this finished up in this area in here, and then we'll rotate it and do the other side. The other side isn't nearly as bad. I'm going to be able to patch a lot of that. It's strong. It's just got some little spots of Swiss cheese here and there, but I won't know exactly what I got till I get at it with a wire wheel on both sides and chew away what's bad and see what we got left, and then check and see how strong it is and so forth. But Getting the worst of it out of the way first, obviously, that's the most important thing. So, good progress. One thing you'll note is a big chunk of the torsion bar cross member is missing. I've measured it all out and it hasn't moved, so I'm going to be able to rebuild that. So that's another job to do before we do that tunnel hole. It's amazing how solid this car is in the front. You know, the floor pan's shot, but that's just typical leaky windshield, wet carpet stuff. The frame rails, everything, the inner fender wells are all just as solid as can be. Of course, typical battery tray rot. This is the reason I chose to do this car as a fabrication project, because the whole back was shot, as you know, and we handmade everything back here. I had a lot of fun making these unibody frame rails by hand. Never done that before. I've made pieces, but never a whole frame rail. Well, this one we did just because I wanted to reuse this one chunk. That about 2-foot chunk of that was so good, so I left it. But other than that, it's all handmade. We made that gas tank floor support. I've got to replace the seat belt thing there, either take it out and fix it or get I have another one. So, but really a lot accomplished in here and a lot to do. We got a lot of finishing up work to do and trimming and so forth, but I'm trying to get the bulk 80% done, and then we'll go back and deal with the little details. So it's I'm having so much fun. This is just, can't emphasize that enough, how, yeah, maybe it's not turning out perfectly, but it's safe, it's strong, and I'm doing it with my own hands. I am not going to get caught up in little detail of, one line isn't lining up perfectly in a floor pan. Who cares? And as I'm looking at it here, it's actually pretty darn good. It's just this piece here, somehow I ended up just ever so slightly. And it's not much, I'm telling you. It's not much at all. The more I look at it, the more impressed I am with just how it turned out. And it's because if I made that in one piece, obviously, it would have been fine. It's the subframe connector, working around that, but all good. I can't emphasize enough. I know I've said it 4 times, but this is just so much fun. Taking a piece of crap that was in the pile to be crushed, pulling it out. And my buddy picked it up, took it home, didn't know what he was going to do with it. I ended up getting it from him, and we're putting it back together again. So literally saving it
from the jaws of death.
Doing it the non-traditional way. We're doing it for pennies on the dollar. I mean literally pennies on the dollar. And there's just no greater sense of satisfaction, in my opinion, than making things by hand and watching the transformation happen on the car. It's just awesome. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. I know I didn't get it done. It's all done. It's just not, we just got to finish it, right? Lots of details, but like I said, 80%, then we'll go back and catch all the little details to make it pretty underneath. But I'm not focused on the underside right now. I'm focused on the top side. The car needs to go up one more click on the rotisserie to be able to turn it 100% on its side. But I may not go any further than this. I don't know the way that's clocked. Well, I can tell, if I go any more, it's not going to be where the holes are lined up. It's either here or it's actually offset. So I'm not crazy about offsetting it with the top. That makes me nervous. So we'll see. Maybe, but probably not. I can do most of the work just like this. It's fine. It sure beats laying on your back under the cars. All right, that's going to do it. We're on the face thing. Instagram loves us, /MyCarsShop. And we're here on YouTube. If you've watched this far, you might as well subscribe. You've endured this much of my insanity, right? And the last thing, if you're new to the channel, it's been a tradition from the very beginning. Don't forget.
What?